Hello book and journal besties. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to just update my reading journal with all of my April reads, show you kind of my readathon spreads, and give you a sneak peek into my May setup. First, I just wanted to show you kind of the state of my current journal. So this is an Archer and Olive dot grid journal in the square 8x8 size. And this is just my reading journal for 2024. I haven't given you guys an update this year yet, but we are almost to the breaking point. I may need to cut a couple pages out of the back and start a new journal just because the expansion is already kind of making me nervous. But today we're just going to jump into the April spreads. If you are interested in getting an Archer and Olive journal of this size, they just launched a whole new collection for summer. It's very Peter Pan mermaid vibes, which we love, and I have an affiliate link if you want to purchase. Every couple friends who try out their journals, I will get a little bonus as well. So check them out. They are my ride or die when it comes to journals. So first we need to update our bingo board for April. So the way I play is I only allow myself to complete 3 of the prompts a month. So it can be any 3, but once I complete the prompt, I can tear off the sticker, and then the sticker will tell me which coordinating box it is. So I'm actually playing bingo. I don't know how to orchestrate filling in this box that I need to get a straight because I don't know which of the prompts corresponds to that box. So we just have to read and find out. But the 3 prompts that I fulfilled in April, one is a 5-word title. So we'll peel off of this washi tape here. And we have N2, so right here. And the book that I read for that prompt is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. The next prompt that I fulfilled is a Becca pick. Becca is my cousin, and she chose our book club book this month, which was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And that corresponds to B1, which is this box here. And then lastly, I read a book that is over 500 pages. So I can take off the washi tape here, which is 04. And look at that, I actually got a bingo. So the book that I read for that was Powerless. And now that we have a full bingo board, I can add some fun stars. So fun. Then next we have to update my series tracker for the month of April. We're going to use this nice purple color because it reminds me of the cover of Powerless, which was my favorite book this month. And then I just go down my list and I highlight all of the books that I read in April that were part of the series. Alright, so let's jump into my April spreads. So the first page is going to be kind of my practical reading habits. One side we're going to have a calendar, and this is just for me to mark down when I read each book so I can kind of see my reading habits and what was going on in the month of April and why I read more one month than another month, etc. On the other side, I want to keep kind of a memory of how our Instagram changes. My cousin and I share a bookstagram called Bookmound Besties. If you don't follow us already, come say hi. We'd love to have you there. But these are just some of the photos that we've posted in the month of April, and I just put them into a Canvas spreadsheet, printed them out, and I'll just apply them in my journal for memories. So on average, I will typically read about 10 to 12 books a month, but in April, I actually went to France for the first time ever. It was so exciting, and I did not do any reading while I was there. I thought that I would read a lot more on the plane and trains and things, but I was too excited to get everywhere or too exhausted. So during that whole 8 days, I really didn't do any reading, but the rest of the month I did pretty well. So my newest reading hobby has been readathons. These are online group-based programs that you can usually join in for free, and they're just a lot of fun, and you can meet really cool people in the reading community. So for April, I joined a very popular readathon called the Magical Readathon, or Adventure in Aldea, or the Aurelium Academy. It goes by many, many names, but it is hosted and created by G over at Book Roast. I'm going to hold the pages like this just because there's a lot of glare from my lamp. Essentially, this readathon is a year-based readathon, and it's kind of inspired by Dungeons and Dragons in a way, to where you create a character, and this character has to kind of go on a journey throughout the year. And at 2 points during the year, she's going to her school, which is the Aurelium Academy. And my character is studying for a specific trade called a thread mage. So she needs to read certain books during her 2 semesters so that she can acquire different skills. So there's different prompts corresponding to each of those, and we'll get into that in a minute. I have had so much fun creating this, and just with the readathon in general, that I think I might create a brand new journal specifically dedicated to this world. But this is what I have so far. I have my character and the maps over on this side, and then I have the annual adventure on this side, as well as a little flap to hold in some extra papers. So this is my first year. This is my little familiar, and then just the title here. So as you open this flap, we're going to have kind of all the books that we read for each prompt. It's been a couple months, and because I just made this spread, I haven't updated it yet, but we have 3 monthly prompts, and then we have our semester. There's also some fun extra challenges that give you special licensing, like a dragging rights license. You could be a apothecary keeper based on reading extra books. So I can keep this in the pocket as well, and then just tuck this away. So on the second page, we're getting into our actual spring equinox. So I have more character information on this side. I've got my student report card, my syllabus for the semester, and then this is kind of just my TBR or prompt guide. Now, all of these graphics are provided by the Readathon, so you can just print them out. They're all in Google Drive, and you can kind of form your own journals. Based on what your character is studying, they have to take some different classes. So for me, I'm a thread mage, so I have to take these 5 classes this semester in order to graduate and proceed, the rest of the year. So based on these different classes, we have different reading prompts. So my first class is alchemy, and under the syllabus, the prompt for alchemy is choose a book with a circle on the cover. So for that, I chose Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 4th book in the Natural series, and it has a circle on the cover. For spells and incantations, I chose the book The Nightingale. The prompt for this class was to use a random number generator in order to pick which book you wanted to read. So in my case, I asked my husband to pick a number between 5 and 15, and he picked 14. So it worked for The Nightingale, but it was actually very serendipitous because I really wanted to read this book this month since we were going to France. For artificery, the prompt was to pick a book that had a lock or a key on the cover. So the very last day of April, I chose The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This was a very fun mystery, and it worked perfectly for the prompt. For inscription, the prompt is to write down 3 titles, fold it, and pick one. So the book that won from that pick out of the hat is American Dirt. And then finally, restoration, the prompt is a book that you think could cure slumps. And for that, I picked Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a book with so much hype on the internet, and I had to give it a try for myself. I read 2 other books this month, and neither of these fit my prompts for the school, but I read this book for book club, and this fulfilled my Dragon Riders prompt, or at least part of it. So I'm just going to include these in the margin here. And with that, I graduated my first semester at the Aurelian Academy. Next, we'll get into my book reviews. The first book I read this month was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was our book club pick for the month. And I gotta be honest, I was not a fan. I really love Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author, and I've read many of her books and given many of her books 5 stars. But this one specifically it wasn't it. I think I didn't like the premise. We are following a couple who has been married a long time, and they are just in a rut. They're not communicating well, and it's getting to a point where they're just constantly fighting. So they decide to go on a break for a year to see if, distance really does make the heart grow fonder. The husband moves out, the wife stays in the house, and they agree to not communicate whatsoever for a whole year. And then after the year is done, they'll come back, they'll decide if they want to get divorced or if they want to get back together. I was hoping, you learn all that in the back of the book, but I was hoping that Taylor Jenkins Reid would take such a ridiculous concept and actually make it very funny and bring her humor to it, but that was not the case. It was just overall very depressing and upsetting, and I do not recommend it. I give it 2 stars. Next, we have The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This book, I had to binge listen to the audiobook the very last 2 days of the month because this was the final prompt I needed for my class with a keyhole on it. And this was a good surprise. I really like Ruth Ware, and she always writes a really solid thriller, but sometimes, if you listen to a lot of thrillers, they can get kind of repetitive. And this one wasn't anything like super unique, but it was really spooky, especially more so than Ruth Ware's other books. I feel like her books aren't generally very scary. They're kind of just more of a mystery. This one will give you the creeps. You'll have the chills. There's creepy kids, there's ghosts, and weird noises, and isolated setting. It's just creepy, but it's really good. It's one of my favorite Ruth Ware books, and I would give that one 4 stars. I do want to give you a trigger warning though. Definitely read the prompt for this book. Ruth Ware tells you right away exactly a tragic part of the story, so you know before going into reading this book kind of what's going to happen, and then you learn how it happens. So definitely check that out before you're reading it, just to make sure it's for you. Then I read American Dirt by Janine Cummins. This has been on my shelf for so long. The cover's beautiful. I've heard so many great things about it, and I just never listened to it or read it. I thought it was nonfiction. I don't know. It was intimidating. I finally got to it. This book, let me tell you, it is thrilling. You've got a mom and her 5-year-old son being chased out of Mexico by a cartel, and it is thrilling, exciting, it's tragic, it's going into this like mother's protection mode. It's learning how immigrants fight to get into safe areas. It's about domestic abuse, it's about fear, it's about controlling situations. It's really, really fascinating. This one definitely gets 4 stars from me as well. Next, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I knew that this was going to be a favorite of mine because I just love all of her books. This is the 3rd Kristen Hanna book that I've read, and just, you know, I absolutely love it. I feel like she is just a master storyteller at this point, and everyone has told me to read The Nightingale. A lot of people, it's their very favorite Kristen Hanna book. And I will say it's not my favorite. I definitely liked The Four Winds better, but even so, this one is a 5-star read. It was fantastic. It's about two sisters in like World War I, and they couldn't be more different. One is very passionate and has a lot of socialist ideals, and another is very reserved and wants to do things right and kind of feels like she's had to take care of her little sister her whole life. So there's a lot of resentment there, and when the war starts, they kind of get pushed into different roles, and it's interesting to see just who they were as kids and how they each kind of find their own role during the war, and how, while they have had such kind of a broken relationship for a lot of their life, become sort of a healing force in each other's lives throughout the experience. So I just made a little collage in Canva of photos that kind of reminded me of the story, and I'm just pasting it in. Next, I chose Together We Burn. This is for my Dragon Riders prompt, but this is by Isabel Ibanez, and she wrote What the River Knows book, which came out last fall, which was fantastic, 5 stars. Please go read it. So good. This is one of her older books. It's been on my shelf for a minute, but I knew I wanted to read it because I really enjoyed her other books, and this one was also really fantastic. So Isabel Ibanez, she incorporates a lot of her Spanish heritage into her stories. She creates really fun and like simple stories to follow, but with kind of more complex and deep characters, which makes me really enjoy her books. This book specifically is very fast-paced. It is about a teenage girl who is kind of like a matador for dragons. Or at least her parents are. But after her father gets injured, she has to kind of take over the role of fighting a dragon. So she needs to hire someone to teach her how to do this. And of course, there's a lot of political things that are happening in the background. You've got a kind of Pride and Prejudice style romance happening, and it's really cute, and I definitely recommend it. I would say it's between a 4 and a 5 star for me. It was really enjoyable. Next, we have Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 4th book in the Natural series, and this was just another fantastic read. It was, because it's the 4th book, a lot of it is kind of wrapping up this bigger mystery that's been taking place behind the scenes in the previous books. But you know, it all kind of comes to a close in this book, which is really fun. You kind of get to see how all the different characters are connected and why they are how they are. If you don't know what The Naturals is, it is a story about 5 teenagers who have kind of unique gifts that the FBI can use to catch serial killers. So for example, one is a natural lie detector, one can naturally really read emotions, one can naturally scan a room and see all of the details and the holes in a crime scene. So these teens are used to catch serial killers, but it's kind of under wraps because they're so young that there's a lot of rules that they sort of break in order to do this too. So it's a fun story and very YA, but really exciting too. And I just absolutely love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. I think she knows how to write a mystery for sure. And then my favorite book of the month is Powerless. If you haven't heard of this book yet, I don't know what you're doing, but this book is so good. And I cannot believe that this was written by a 17-year-old. Just fascinates me. It's so good. I found this cute little collage on Pinterest and I just printed it out. So I did not make this. This is somebody else's artwork, but I loved all the different elements that she chose because those are the parts that really stood out to me as well. And this is exactly how I pictured our characters. Powerless is a story about a young girl who is raised in a world where people have different magical powers, and people who don't have powers are thought to be diseased and they are killed. So it's very dangerous to be someone without powers in this world. And our main character just so happens to be powerless. So she is hiding the fact that she has no powers. She has to go through a set of trials to kind of prove herself in a way. There's romance, there's high stakes. It had me laughing and kicking my feet. I just absolutely loved it. The ending will break your heart. I can't wait for Reckless to come out this summer. So that was definitely my favorite book of the month. In May, I will be participating in Escape the Readathon. This readathon is hosted by Books with Lexi, and it is a carnival-based readathon. So on this page here, I have my calendar with kind of a carnival setting. I have my TBR. These are my hopefuls. This is what I kind of want to read this month. I'll probably end up reading more than this, but a lot of these are new releases that I'm very excited for. And then on this side here is where I'll kind of put my Bookstagram collage here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to come back when I do my May wrap up and talk about all the books that I read during this readathon and give you the recap on how that went. I hope you guys have the best reading month ever, and also let me know if you have done any readathons because I'm obsessed and I need to know what's happening out there. So say hi below, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye!